Hello, welcome back. So this is a requested topic, so I'm gonna hope that I answer the question as best as possible. If I miss the mark, let me know. So the question is, can you talk about space and time in performing spells? So we're gonna kind of break that down into the two parts, so the space aspect and then the time aspect. So for the space aspect of it, of course there's like the logistics of like having your altar space and whatever, but I don't think that's what they're talking about. For the most part, when we talk about making space for your spells, this is more of a mental mindset that you're setting up when you are going into a spell. Which basically means anytime you're going into sacred space, what you're doing is setting time and space outside of your regular life. Basically, every thought of your everyday life is put outside of your circle. You're not worried about anything else. Those thoughts can wait 15, 20, even an hour of time just outside. You also make the space where disbelief doesn't exist for a short amount of time. So when you're in circle and you're doing your spell, doubt doesn't exist. You are manifesting whatever your purpose is of your spell. And so if you're bringing in, oh, I have to, like if you're sitting there at your altar and you're doing like a candle spell and you're supposed to focus on the candle and you're infusing all of your thoughts of whatever you're wanting to manifest, let's say it's a new job. If the whole time you're focusing on it, you're also thinking, I don't know if this is gonna work. Trying to find all of the solutions as you're trying to do the spell, and you're like, okay, well, I know I gotta update my resume, and I know I've gotta do this, and I know I gotta do this, and I don't know if I'm gonna get this job, and I don't know if I want to work here, and I don't know if I want to do this, and I'm, again, not sure if the spell's even worth my time or if it's gonna do anything. It's not. And so, instead, you leave all those thoughts outside, and you're focused on the end result of what you're wanting out of a new job, and you are focusing on, like, the hours you might want to work, benefits you might want to have, regular pay, stuff like that, and like the work environment, maybe the field you're wanting, not necessarily a company, and then you focus that into the candle and you're not worried, is it going to work or not? All of those beliefs are sitting outside of your sacred space. Let alone just like the physical of it, I feel like also is included just a little bit. Don't have a cluttered altar, have stuff there for a purpose. Usually if you're casting a spell, you should have a dedicated spot, even if it's not the full altar. Like I have mini tables that go on my altar, and I have ongoing spells that live on their little tables because I like them to be contained. And so you want to have your space clean, clutter-free. You don't want to have like random coffee mugs and your keys and all sorts of just random gunk that's just kind of collected there. Make your space nice and clean, vacuum, mop, whatever. Make your space a clean, welcoming environment. That does make a difference, I've found, in my magic. So that could also be part of like the space aspect of it. And of course like cleansing and however you normally cast a circle or create your sacred space. And then for the time aspect of it. So timing in spells is really big. Usually when they say space, we're talking about the first part. The time is the like there's so many different ways that you can set up your timing. I just picked some of the most popular ones, so we're gonna go through those. So the most common, you plan your spell along with the moon phase. In simple forms, the new moon is for new beginnings, the waxing is for manifesting, the full moon is for like your big magic, especially like long-term goals, and then the waning moon is for banishing. So you would pick the time that's working with the spell that you're wanting to do. Then you also have the days of the week if you want to go that route. Each day of the week has a different purpose. So let's say Saturday, for example, this is a good time to do banishing, especially banishing debt. Then you also have magic along with the astrological signs. And so you might want to plan your spells around the, like, as the sun is going through them. You could do it with the moon. That is a little bit harder to sometimes pinpoint the phase and the sign that you're wanting. So we're just gonna go with the sun. So we're just gonna go with mine. So the crab, it's also known as Cancer, but I don't like to use that name. I think the name has changed over time. I don't like the name. Crab zodiac. So the season of the crab is from June 21st to July 21st. This is the time to work with your emotions. We're a water sign, especially the comforting aspect of the water signs. We are the nurturers, like we will take care of you. And also, we are homebodies, hence we have our crab shells. We like to make our homes our sacred space. And so this is a good time of the year to do any protection spells. It also kicks off the summer season officially. That's when summer solstice starts. And so it's a great time to do protection and cleansings of your home. So you might want to plan some spells and rituals around that time of the year and all of the other ones as well. And then you can also get really specific for the different times of the day. Now, I'm not huge into finding the magical hours. That method is a lot of math. I don't love math, so I don't do that. Because obviously you could go with like a little bit more like cheesy of like, oh, well, it's midnight, it's the witching hour, or it's 3 a.m., it's the witching hour. But honestly, there's a lot of scientific-y stuff that a lot of witches do where you have to do like adding up the specific times, and it's like when the sun rises, and like it's a whole formula, and I'm just not about that life. So instead I just kind of simplify it a little bit of like, if you're gonna do a spell for like new beginnings, do it at sunrise. And that does vary, so you might have to keep track a little bit. Your phone will give you like a rough idea, but I've never had it actually rise at the right time. It really depends on exactly where you are, especially if you have mountains nearby. Because again, I've grown up living in a canyon, and so when the sun would rise at the base of the canyon versus our house was like 30 plus minutes difference. So it's more of like you're out there before sunrise, everything's set up, and then the second that light starts to pop over, then you would do your spell. And so that's just some of the timing you could do. You could also get into the sacred numbers aspect of it, of how many times you're gonna repeat a spell. Some spells, like I have one that I've done quite a few times, where you have to repeat it for 7 days in a row. 7 is supposed to be associated with that magical intent. So there's a lot of different ways that like the timing aspect of it can really come into play. It's really as simple as that. I hope that answers your question. If I missed the mark, let me know, but that's usually what I think of when people say to think of like the time and space for your rituals and your spells. So hopefully this has been helpful and at least kind of answered your question and cleared it up a little bit. Of course, this is just one perspective. There's many others out there, so other people might disagree, and that's perfectly fine. That's what works for you. So thank you to my patrons. I'll have their names here on the screen. If you'd like to support me and get access to exclusive content, it is patreon.com/nightwillowcrafts. And make sure to like and subscribe. I post every single day. And until tomorrow, thank you so much for watching, and blessed be.